Are there comprehensive systems in place to monitor the implementation of planning commission programs? That's the question, Mr. President. Are there comprehensive systems in place to monitor the implementation of planning commission programs?
All right, questions on Twitter. This one is pertaining to something that's been making news headlines over the weekend and grabbing attention. Ray6007 wants to find out, will the president act on accusations of Mac Maharaj and his wife cashing in on bribes from Thales? That's the question that's being asked. And then just another question which we've received quite a few times is the issue of farm killings. What is going to be done to protect farmers, Mr. President? 3 questions in one. I hope that that's not too much for you. That's not too much for you. That's not too much for you.
Leanne, thank you very much indeed. A couple of questions that have come in. I think the first one you sort of answered in the speech, because the National Development Plan is at a consulting stage, but somebody wanted to know that will there be systems in place to monitor the implementation of what actually comes out of that document in its final stage? Because it's good to have a plan, but how do we monitor the process? Because I believe that the Planning Commission itself doesn't actually have executive powers.
Well, no. What will happen is that once the plan is done, comments are made back to the Commission, shape it to what it needs to be, then it comes to Cabinet, wherein it is then endorsed and a decision is taken as a policy of the country. Once that is done, you definitely have to sit down and say, how do we implement it? How do we make it work? And therefore, there will be the kind of executive systems that will ensure that the plan is being implemented, no doubt about it. And I'm sure it will also fall in the category wherein the performance monitoring and evaluation will have to be done over the plan. In other words, to those who will be implementing the plan. So certainly we'll do that.
The next question involves your spokesperson, Mac Maharaj. Allegations have been leveled against him about perhaps being enriched in some way. The viewer wanted to know is, are you going to take action, investigate? What is your position with regards to allegations that have been leveled against him?
I'm not certain that I need to take action. 2 things I think I can say on that one. Firstly, Mr. Maharaj is handling that matter at a legal level. So I don't think I'm qualified to come in and comment on it. I think it will be really out of order once the matter is handled at that level, and then I come in and say, this is what I want to do. But secondly, I have established a commission on arms deal. And every other query that comes must go to that commission. Why should I then take the job of the commission, even if Meg was doing nothing about it? I've got a commission to deal with the matter. I think people who have got information, I don't think they must play around with information. They must send information to the commission so that the commission has an opportunity to look at everything. I think that's what should be done.
Okay. Table number 25, Tandazani Makora. I think you're on that table. Tandazani, what's your question to the President? Table number 25, where are you? Okay. Tandazani?
Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning.
The question of deep rural municipalities is my concern, especially given that all of them, if not, all of them have very rich comparative advantages in terms of mineral wealth, tourism and commercial activity, but they find themselves as feeders of urban municipalities. What does government intend to do to build these economies, these rural economies, so that they can be able to sustain themselves and be viable as deep rural municipalities?
Well, thank you for the question indeed. I think we're faced with a challenge of how do we utilize what we have already. You will also appreciate that precisely because of the disparity between the rural areas and urban areas, and that the development tends to, in a sense, to drift towards the urban areas. We have established a department, rural development, and this department must address those questions together with the municipalities. So we have already created the enabling environment for the municipalities to take advantage of. I think the rural development, among other things, it means reviving the dying towns in the rural areas so that they become centers of economic activities. Before we established the department, there was something called local economic development, which has been there all this time. But you couldn't see anything happening. Because we now have the department, I think municipalities must be advised to link up with that department and have that department addressing the specific areas. As you say, generally, all of them are the same. We established the department because we wanted to stop this gap that was widening between urban and the rural. And therefore, the system is there. It's a question of how the municipalities themselves are able to interact with the department whose job is to develop them. I think they should be making more demands to those departments.
Okay. Table number 7. I wonder if this is a relative or is going to remain a relative after this tough question he has for you. Edward Zuma. Table number 7, you have a question.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Maybe to help you initially, South Africans forget that every right has a limit. You were just missing the word that in the Constitution it says every right has a limit. Mr. President, my question revolves around corruption in municipalities, specifically with the municipality that I'm a citizen in eThekwini. We have been told that there is a probe that is ongoing. We are going for a year now, and there has not been any reports. And as a citizen of the city, we've made various inquiries with the municipalities up to no avail, wherein there are alleged corrupt activities that have been taking place, and we have been sent from pillar to post as citizens of the city. We now do not have anywhere to go because including senior political officials in the province are seemingly trying to cover up on this one. As President of the Republic, who is standing to root out corruption, what are you going to do with corrupt eThekwini Metro officials? Thank you.
Okay.
It looks like the popular question. Thank you. To start where you started, the rights, you also should have responsibilities. It's not just rights one way. We all should remember that we have rights, but we must also have responsibilities. I thought it's important to add that dimension in your comment. But with regard to the situation you described in eThekwini, you would of course appreciate, not being in the municipality, I don't know what's happening. And I'm not going to be in a better position to say, this is what I'm going to do. I think it is important if the matter needed an attention of the president to be brought to the president. I think sitting here without knowing the details, I'm not going to be in a better position to answer the question as to what is it that is happening, what needs to be done. The president acts on the matters that are brought to him to say, here is a problem, act here. Now, nobody has brought the matter of eThekwini municipality to the president. And therefore, whatever one hears, that there are investigations, one then believes that the necessary departments and institutions that are made to undertake that job, they are undertaking it. I think you yourself says you are told there are probes and investigations. So people are not just sitting, but your complaint is that you don't see the results. And if that is the case, I think if the matter was brought to the president, then the president would be in a better position to say, I have received this complaint. What is happening?
So Mr. Zuma can bring this issue to your presidency?
Why not?
Okay,
If we thought that is
We've got it for you, my brother. All right, Mr. President, since the last time we spoke, a number of things have happened. One, the National Development Plan, and secondly, the Youth League president has been suspended. One of the questions that was put to him was, what are his feelings towards you? It wasn't long ago that he said that he would die for President Zuma. That seems to have shifted a little bit since then. So my question to you is, what are your feelings towards the Youth League president?
The president of the ANC Youth League is a president of the ANC Youth League, and that's how I relate to him. He's a comrade who is young, who is in the ANC Youth League, which is in fact the incubator of the politicians of the ANC. And I believe we relate in that kind of way. And of course, he has had to face the disciplinary action. And that comes to everybody in the ANC. It's not just because it is Julius. Anyone who flouts the constitution of the ANC takes action. That does not change how I feel about the president of the Youth League. I feel as I did any other time, as a comrade who has risen among the ranks and became the president. And that's how I look at him. I'll never change my attitude or my feelings. But the Constitution is a Constitution. No matter how I feel about you, if you violate the Constitution, and the Constitution must act, that does not mean I'm changing my feelings or attitude. You remain a comrade, but the comrade must act within the Constitution. That's what is expected from every ANC person. It doesn't change necessarily the feelings and attitudes.
And that's where we're going to have to leave it, Mr. President. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your time and your thoughts with us. We know that you have a busy schedule, but thank you so much for giving South Africans here and at home the opportunity to talk to you. Mr. President, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.